Good morning. Show me love at this first showcase that I've done for USB. Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Lynette Ntuli, and I'm a connector of the complex dots that every economy, every society, every culture, organization, and leader is trying to interpret, navigate, and of course, respond to. By day, I'm a South African entrepreneur in the built environment who has spent the last 15 years building a business, a career, expertise, and a legacy in perhaps one of South Africa's toughest economic asset classes to crack, property and land. I have an interest, however, in development, in infrastructure, and planning. And one of the things that I know for sure is that property and land in South Africa is the bedrock upon which the economy that you and I go to battle in every single day comes from. Think about the grand history of mining, of commodities, and even agriculture in our country. But also, property and land in South Africa have definitively become perhaps the biggest scar and the biggest show of where we come from as a people within a system. And as we do the necessary work to unbundle the past, we also have to look forward and plan decisively about how we are going to build inclusive cities, inclusive spaces, economies, and of course countries right the way around the African continent. So also by day, I have a passion to create and live on an African continent that simply works, ladies and gentlemen, but also one that prospers, one that protects my energy, my investment into it, and our collective efforts to make economies, societies, and even our homes in the most general of contexts work. And therefore I, as the poster child of this continent's future, a young, African, urban, educated, multidimensional woman, cannot be divorced from the shifts in the world under me or in the shifts in the energy around me. It forces me in my conversations, in my convictions, and even in my choices to always choose to be bold, to always choose to be critical, to be courageous, and badass on a few occasions too. In my world, ladies and gentlemen, it means that context is the new currency. As recently as in the last week, as an organization, we were dealing with the issue that the issues around Clifton Beach in December that many of us caught wind of as we enjoyed our December holidays was not an animal rights issue, but it continues to be a critical conversation about spatial justice and transformation in the country that doesn't just affect us in our leisure time, but goes on to affect the very socio-economic foundations upon which the future of this country will be built. In my context, ladies and gentlemen, the definitions and our theoretical understanding of risk, formality, as well as tradition are all changing. The decision makers of the future are now the informal, the radicals, and the untouchables. And so long as we do the work that we do at our boardroom tables, behind closed doors, and often in ivory towers, none of what we create is safe until we address the demands and the needs of what many of us have perhaps termed the vultures at the door. Profitability and productivity used to be our measure of success. All of our organizations demand the numbers, the bottom line. But we now know that the true definitive markers of success are how we treat and understand our people, how our customers experience us, and how we impact the societies we all work for. Culture, ladies and gentlemen, eats strategy for breakfast, operational excellence for lunch, and whatever else is left behind for dinner. We have determined that the world that we live in right now is migrating to Africa, is coming to us. The Africa Rising story is a narrative that is here to stay. And this project, the Miracle Nation of South Africa project, is a project that you and I know deep down in our belly buttons cannot fail. Many of our organizations, institutions, and leaders, however, are hamstrung by big decisions, complexity, and in trying to understand not if, not when, but how we move into this new future, this new world, these new economies, where often vibrant democracy collides headfirst with growth and innovation. And whilst we're trying to take care of that, we see it clash with perhaps the volatility as well as the very real realities of inequality, limited resources, systemic fragility when we think about security risks or even political instability, as well as how policy and perhaps other practical considerations come to affect us. Many of you run organizations today which produce and deliver goods to a wide market of people, sometimes even people you never had to consider in your day-to-day paradigm at all. How do you remain responsive? Are you relevant? And are they relating to what it is that you are putting out into the world? Should we optimize or innovate? Do we understand our market, its dynamics, and even the language that our customers use? Can we, in ourselves, reinvent ourselves if we needed to? And perhaps finally, how on earth did we all come to that decision? Inclusivity is something that as South Africans and a theme, whether it is in leadership or operational excellence, we are all trying to grapple with. Perhaps, however, with a bit more time, you will invite me, and you and I will sit together, and we will begin to connect these dots, these themes, and together we will craft, build, and create strategies that will help us not only do the necessary work, but also build agile, resilient organizations with engaged, committed individuals at the table. Thank you very much.